Hey, what's up? It's Chris Young. What do you say we take a few minutes and check out all the features on your brand new Heartland Bighorn fifth wheel? What do you say we take a few minutes and let's meet your new Bighorn by Heartland fifth wheel? Right away, I want to start up front with, you're going to be hitching it up and towing it. Let's talk a little bit about this Rotaflex hitch. It's a Lippert hitch. It's got this torsion control right here in the pivoting head, which really helps stop the chucking and bucking when going down the road. A good hitch for you. Now you'll notice with your Bighorns, you're gonna have some more storage, which means you're gonna have 3 access points, or you should have 3 access points into the storage of your fifth wheel. Most of the storages will be enclosed and heated. You'll see the vent right there. The other thing that you'll notice is that they've moved the generator box down to the bottom below the storage. So you should have a gen box, should be set up if you want to put one in. Now with these, you're going to get a little control center in here where you're going to notice your hydraulic fluid. Now, if you notice, ours doesn't have a whole lot of fluid in it right now. That's because all the slides are out, all the jacks are down. Don't try to overfill this. Just check it with everything closed, because if you go put hydraulic fluid in right now, it's going to overflow if we try to close everything out. You'll notice here that you have the pure sine wave inverter. It's a 2000 watt inverter for your refrigerator. This is also your AC input or your switch for your generator. So if you get a generator, you got all that stuff set up. You got the battery disconnects for both your coach batteries. Your battery box is right there. And they also have these what's known as Aquaflex seals around all the storage doors. But I try to tell people, even if you just close this and you latch this one latch right here, there's a chance you could still get moisture inside because the toggle switches aren't closed. It's almost like an even flat seal that you want to have on there. Now, you do have auto level on this one as well, and you got 2 control panels for your auto level. You got the auto leveling control right here, which is a Lippert ground control auto leveling system, 60,000 pound hydraulic leveling system, that if we come around here, and depending on which unit you have, your external control center will be either on the campsite or on the off campsite. Here's the other control panel. Now, if you go to the front panel and the red light is on, this is where you come to reset it. This is only the external leveling controls in here. Everything else is going to be controlled on the inside of the coach. Got strut supporting on your storage here. Heated and enclosed underbelly on this one, plus you get the Z-frame or the drop frame. You'll notice if your Heartland Bighorn has one of these, this is your sewer hose storage. If you don't have a bumper storage, you will have something like this somewhere on the coach. Your little lock pin to keep it closed and open. Just, try to keep your sewer hose clean before you put it in there, because the last thing you want is to open that up and, well, to have a bad day. Now with your Heartland Bighorn, you're going to have either a Dometic powered awning, or you're going to have the Carefree of Colorado awning. Both of them are electric. Both of them will have the LED light strip, and both of them will have the adjustable pitch arm with the little turn knob right here. Now I'm 6'2", and this is a full profile fifth wheel, so you can see that if I needed to adjust this, I'd need a little help. So get yourself a stair ladder, loosen it, push the arm in, and that's how you're going to adjust the pitch of the awning. Just be sure to get it back out straight before you roll it in, because you don't want to roll it in with the pitch down. You'll also get the solid step over steps. I like these side handles too, leading into the entry point. Now, if you're going to engage and disengage your steps, make sure that the entry door is all the way open. You'll notice some of them will be strut supported, so when you lift up, they'll be very easy to lift. But what you want to do to adjust the legs, you'll see this little toggle switch right here. Push that in, that allows you to slide the legs in and out. If you bring this down, you can even do the release it to get it flat and level. Make sure it's flat and level and secure when you go in. You do have the extra large grab handle here, but also make sure this is flush. You don't want the stairs too high up, because what that's going to do is that's going to raise this lip up above the floor so much that you won't be able to shut the door. So as you see it right now, we got it set pretty well. And then if you need to store the legs, just make sure the door is all the way open. Lift this up. You got the grab handle right here. And there you go. Since these are strut supported, supported, you'll see the arm right here. You do not have a locking mechanism for this one. So just make mental note of that when you're opening and closing or setting your stairs up and down. So there you go. We'll go inside here in just a minute. On some of the slides, you're gonna have the worm groove or you're gonna have the rack and pinion. If you notice here on the larger slides, we're gonna have the rack and pinion through frame slides. Now you'll notice those grooves right there, the manufacturer actually recommends greasing those. But if you're gonna do that, try not to use things like WD-40. You wanna get a graphite grease that we sell at Camping World in Gander, because that WD-40, well, sure, it'll lubricate it, but that's also gonna absorb road dust when you're going down the road. That's not a good thing. The graphite lubricant will not. Same thing with the seals. We do have slide seal lubricant and protectant that you want to use, and roughly, you know, every 90 days or so, try to get those, you know, nice and lubricated, because these seals can dry out really quick around your slides. They crack, they get stuck. That's going to be a bad day. Most of your Bighorns are going to come with the 7,000-pound Dexter Easy Lube axles, and you'll see right here, these are the aluminum rims, nitro-filled tires with the CRE 3000 Moride suspension. Just gives you a good 3-inch berth right there, which really helps with that going down the road. Now, since it is Dexter Easy Lube axles, they say every 1,000 or so miles, get like just one pump, you know, or, you know, 2 pumps in. Don't overdo it with the lubricant, and make sure you get the right lubricant. Our service techs can tell you which one to use for these Dexter Easy Lube axles. And then about every year or so, be sure to have the bearings checked. Make sure you're not blowing anything out or running something low temp when it should be high temp. You don't want any blowouts. You want to make sure everything is safe and secure. You do have your ground control, and you'll notice that with these rear legs, what happens is these are set so that there's a line called so when you take off, it's called the takeoff line. It goes from the bottom of the tire to the bumper. And that line, this jack pad will be above that line, so that hopefully if you hit anything, the first thing you're gonna hit is going to be the bumper. But if these need to be adjusted, let our service folks do it for you. And another thing I like to tell people too, get a block or get a leveling pad, because sure, this is a leveling system. It will not lift the coach up. You do not want the tires being lifted off the ground. But having something under there to give it some additional stability and touch to the ground is gonna help out a lot. Coming around to the back, you'll see that you do have the solid mounted ladder on this one. You do have the backup camera, which is already built in. You got the 3,000-pound 2-inch hitch right here. I don't see a light receiver. Yeah, you got your spare tire usually on the back. You'll usually see that on what I like to call the ladder enclosure on the back. It just looks like a ladder underneath. That's where your spare tire is. Now, some of your Heartland Bighorns will come with a retractable automatic power cord. Just to use that, you operate it back, forward, you know, it just retracts it for you. You got a little lock switch for that as well. You'll notice right here that you have your controls for your wastewater holding tank and your gray tank. The handles will be in different locations depending on which model that you have, but with your terminations, like we see right here, I try to tell people, try to keep the tanks closed. You don't have to keep them open all the time, because you want some water in there. And especially with the black tank, when you're ready to dump the black tank first and then do the gray tanks, because that'll help kind of clean everything out. Get you a clear elbow for your dump too, so you can kind of see how everything is. And we'll talk about cleaning the black tank here in just a minute when we get over to the external command center. Now, we got the back of our hot water heater here. This is a direct spark ignition. You'll see the power switch right here, which is also located on the inside. What happens is you can control it from either inside or out. You got your propane igniter here, your pressure release valve, and your reset switch. One of the things to kind of check with this, oh, and your anode rod right there as well, which really kind of absorbs some of those bad things that would rather eat your tank. The anode rod would eat it. So be sure to check that periodically. But if you notice that you're not getting burn, clean out your burn tube right here, because mercaptan, which is in propane, really smells good to critters and to bugs, especially bees, spiders, and dirt daubers. So if you notice that you're getting the dirt dauber buildup in here, just clean it out. Take a little pipe cleaner, clean that out as well, because one thing you don't want to do is have that start sparking. If you see flames coming up out of the controller right here, just watch for that. Or if you see debris up the top of your RV, that means you got junk in there that needs to be cleaned out. Service it or bring it in and have our folks service it as well. The other thing too is when you're running your hot water heater, before you run it, make sure that you have water in it. That's probably the most important thing. And the last thing you want is a burnt element. We got the back of our Suburban furnace right here, which this one is a 35K BTU furnace on this one, which is pretty standard for the Heartland Bighorns. I mean, this is the access panel, which it can be, you know, if you know how to work on them, great. I do not suggest you do it though. If something's not working and you've checked the power, you've checked the outlets, you've checked the, you know, the breakers, and you've checked the fuses, bring it in, let our service folks take a look at it. But right here, when you see this, this is the back of the furnace. The one thing to try not to do if you're setting up stuff, which is why I like how they put this on the off-camp side, don't block this, because that's hot air that's coming out. You put one of those fabric chairs up against this, that might catch on fire. That's a bad day. External command center, like you see right here, whole home flow pure filtration system built in. I like this because it's easy to use, it's interchangeable. You see my PEX piping right here. If you get any leaks, just check the connectors here. This is obviously your main water flow. Your second water flow controls. You will have an external sprayer, external shower. You'll see those here. Most of them will have portholes that you can run your connections through. Here's your gray tank controls. You do have a direct spark ignition hot water heater bypass here. So if you want to, you know, here's your switch for that. Your black tank flush. Now I had mentioned if you're gonna flush your black tank, make sure you're connected up to something where it can drain to. Make sure the black tank is open. That's number one, because if you hook a water hose up to this, cut it on, and that black tank is closed, that's gonna be a bad day. External shower, cable connections, you'll see right here, you have multiples of those. Plus you'll usually have a GFCI 110, and then you have, I like this Anderson main water connection, because instead of having multiple spots, you got your inlet right here, your vent for pressurization. So if you're doing city water there, if you're going boondocking, you do there. You just got to make sure that you have the water pump on. If you just fill in the fresh tank, you hear it kind of depressurize the vent right there. And then if you're doing some winterization, right there. But if you do winterize, just make sure that all the valves are open and the bypass is open as well. So let's go back to the city. Close that up, and you'll notice too underneath, Bobby, I believe they're right back here behind our termination, are the low point drains. So this is where if you need to drain the lines, you can, or if you're doing some winterization, just open those up and drain them. And then close them back up once all the water's gone. Other side of your LP tank right here, and you'll notice this one has the little regulator meter and the selector switch. Now the selector, if you go to the left, it's using the tank on the left side. If you go to the right, it's using the tank on the right side. If you go right here in the middle, it's pulling evenly from both tanks. And if it's open, this register should run green. And they actually recommend, some of my tech buddies recommend not pulling from the middle, because when you're out, you're completely out. Whereas if you know you got gas in both tanks and you're out on the left, at least you know you'll have gas on the right. Plus, I understand that it's also not good for the regulator to pull from the middle. But check with your specialist, ask your technician those questions. Hey, is this right? Is this how I use my Heartland Bighorn? So now that we've taken a little walk around on the outside, let's walk up these solid steps and let's take a look on the inside. Come on, Bobby. Oh, wow. I tell you, these are nice. So when you walk into your Heartland Bighorn, right away, you're gonna see the beautiful black and tan interiors. That's great, that's gonna take your breath away. Let's get it back by making sure you have everything working. You're probably gonna wanna take a look, first and foremost, for the control panel. Now, here you'll see we have the water pump, which you cut on when you're using the water tank. If you're using the city water connection, you don't need to run this. And when you cut it on, you'll hear the system prime a little bit. It'll cut off and then it'll cut back on again, once you're ready to run a faucet. Your water heater, you got the 120 volt and the 12 volt. And when you cut these on, this right here is gonna light up because that direct spark ignition is lighting. Now, it may go off and it may come back on. If it goes off, that means that it's lit. If it comes back on, that means that you're probably up to temperature. Ours is going to come back on because we don't have any propane. So it's going to go off and then it's going to come back on because it's constantly trying to start. If you have that issue, this light comes on, you know that there's propane, check to make sure that it's on outside like we saw on the back of the panel. Check to make sure that you actually have propane. And if you're still having issues, bring it in. Let our service folks take a look at it. Now over here, you'll also see your measurement of your tanks. We got our battery, which should be good. This is where if you're full and you're hooked up to shore power, not only are you also charging the batteries, you should have enough juice to run everything from the hydraulic leveling system to running out the slides. If you notice you hit the battery and maybe you're going off of your actual batteries in the coach, if you're below 2/3, chances are you're not going to be able to run the slides out. You need at least 11.8 is what I like to recommend to run those slides out. So just kind of keep that in mind. Fresh tank, black tank, and gray tanks. Now, if you know that you flushed out your tanks and you come to check this out and you're like, wait a minute, I'm still 2/3 full. I know it's empty. There are sensors inside those tanks that can get continuity between moisture. So give it about 15 minutes to dry and then check it again. If it's still showing, maybe flush it out or bring it in, let our service folks take a look at it. The rest of this, you got your awning, which you can extend and retract by the labeling there. You do have a ceiling fan on this one as well as your lights and your slides. And down here is your remote switch, which to cut on, you actually have to hold it and you'll hear it pop on. This is for if you need to cut on that magnum underneath the coach to convert the power to run your fridge. But if you're plugged in, shouldn't need it. Boop. Now, walk into your kitchen. You're going to have solid surface countertops. They can chip, so just be careful there. And when it comes to your convection ovens, you're going to have either the LG, the Insignia, or the High Point. All of them are good. Convection ovens, they're all pretty much the same size. It's just going to be different brands. Over here on your stovetop and your oven, you're either going to have the Furion stoves like we have right here, the Suburban, or the Insignias. Once again, all good, but a little different nuances. So like for example, for the Furion, you'll notice this is the end top. It's not all one piece. This is mounted here. So if you needed to access the igniter, with most of them, you can just lift the panel up. With this one, you'd actually have to take this off. I wouldn't advise it. Get our service folks to do it. But to light the stove, you don't just turn over to the gas, you actually have to hold it down. That's what's priming the line. And then you hit your igniter, and hopefully you can see there the little electric spark hitting. If you do see that, that means it's working. If you don't see it, there's a chance that the connector underneath the oven or underneath your stovetop might just be disconnected. Now, your Furion ovens, these work a little bit different. These, when you push, will automatically light. You hear it? This has got the automatic lighter. You set the temperature over here on the left. You set your timer over here on the right. Pretty nice little feature. Just make sure that no matter what you have, make sure that when you're not using it, that all those knobs are off. Propane does have mercaptan in it, which does have a smell to it, but still, you don't want to smell that inside the coach. That means propane is leaking. Over here on the sink, you do have the high-rise faucet with hot and cold. You'll see right here, hot is over this way, cold is over that way, and to open it, you just pull it forward. You got the sprayer nozzle right here. You got the beautiful, some of them will have the glass up front, some of them won't, but you will either have the Insignia or the LG residential style fridge. Now, depending on which one you have, you're going to have either a 1,000 or 2,000 watt inverter built into the Heartland Bighorns. But here's the thing with these residential fridges. They are awesome. They will get things cold. They will keep them cold. The power drain that they have on them, if you're not plugged into power, or if you're at your home and you're using 110 power from your home, you can do that. Just remember, it's not going to run the AC. It will run this, and it will charge your batteries as well. Just make sure that the gauge of the cord that you're using is safe and applicable for this instance, because you don't want to use like some 10 gauge cord to try to charge this thing, because you're coming through a 50 amp. You got to remember that. But with these refriges, if you do run off your battery, if it's already cold, you might get 200 minutes of running time off your battery. That's not a long time at all. So make sure that this is plugged in and running. You have shore power when operating. You got your ice maker. You can cut on and off right there. The filter change, you see you hold both of these for 3 seconds. Super freeze, what this does is this doubles the power of the compressor to cool everything down rapidly. Here are your freezer controls. Just push the button. Obviously you got your temperatures right there. Same thing for your fridge, and you'll notice they have the colors. They're colored in. Fridge is right there. Super cool, same thing. If you want to bring this down super fast, you hold this in. It'll run for, I believe, 14 to 16 hours, and then automatically shuts off. You want to do the energy saving, that just reduces the compressor power. And if you want to go from Fahrenheit to Celsius, you just push both of those for 3 seconds. You got the little water filtration system right here. This is just a manual, it's locked right now. When you're ready to unlock it, you just twist it to the right, pull it out, change the filter, and your water distribution is right there. Great fridges, man, great residential fridges. But if this one, you notice the one thing I didn't mention is an off and on switch. That's because it's on. When you're on power, it's on. You literally have to get in the back and unplug this thing if you want to cut it off. Got your little freezer and your ice tray right there. And there you'll see, I mean, it's cold. This thing is doing a really good job of cold, but we're also plugged into shore power, your ice maker right there. Now, some of the electrical components that you're going to have on this, you're going to have the Dometic air conditioning system on this one. Now, we're in a Bighorn that has 3 air conditioning units, so you're going to have 3 of these Dometic touchpad sensors. And I wanted to take this off to kind of show you. This is what the connection looks like on the back. See if you can get in there, Bobby. You got enough light? How's that look? So these little rubber notches right here are what control the change of these elements. And when I say it's a touchpad, it is a touchpad. Now, once this comes off, that pretty much means you got not a whole lot of use left in it because they're meant to stay on. This one's going to be worked on anyway. That's why I took it out for you. But it is a touchpad. So you don't have to hit anything. A lot of people come and they mash it. All you got to do is hit it, and you'll see because I took it off. So I'm actually going to touch that, cut it off. But if you do have to end up doing this because the faceplate comes off, the oil from your finger will mess up these touch plates. So you can actually just take a pencil eraser and, you know, kind of scrape the oil off of there. But once again, take it in to get serviced because this is not what you want to have happen. I just wanted to show you what it looked like on the inside. You got the fantastic vent up here. You got your controls, obviously that opens it, that closes it. It does have a range sensor, the speeds up and down. And the vent fan for this one is over there behind us, Bobby. Really does a good job of pulling the air, the hot air out of this coach. Last but not least, over here on this comfortable countertop, let me tell you about the PCS, the power control system. What this does is this tells you what service you're plugged into. So for example, we're plugged in to 50 amp. AC mid is powered, AC rear is powered, AC front is powered. What this system is going to do is tell you what power you have coming in as well as what's running, but it's also a fail-safe system so that if you're pulling too much juice, not all of these ACs are going to run at the same time. If you got everything going, microwaves going, you know, this, that, and the other thing is going, and all of a sudden, boom, things go off, that's bad. You've pulled too much power and you've flipped something. This power control system makes sure to stagger the ACs coming on because that startup is really what pulls the most power to run, not as much. And it'll make sure that you don't trip anything inside the coach. So it's very nice to have. With anything electrical inside the system, now this one, you actually have a fuse panel and you have a circuit breaker box, which is nice to have. The fuse panel here is set up so that if anything is faulty, there will be a red LED light. So if you don't have power to the AC, you know that you're plugged into shore power, you know that this panel is working because it's lit up, check the fuse. If you're still not working, bring it in, let our service folks take care of it for you. You'll also notice that in these Heartland Bighorns, you get the Stellar Quick Charge plate. This is just a near field charger that's built into the solid surface countertops. You got, a lot of them will come with the Coastal Comfort Collection furniture like we have here. This is an electric recliner. So on the far right-hand side are the controls to push it out. The one right beside it is to push it in. Then you have a little LED accent light, as well as heat and massage. And you got different speeds of both. You just tap them to control them. Another charging plate right here. Some of them will also have, in your Heartland Bighorn, you may have the pull-out sleeper sofa. Fairly easy to operate, just be careful. You don't want to hurt yourself or pull it out. Actually, let's go ahead and take the cushions off first. This lifts up and comes out, and you see how we have the legs right there. They extend. Just once again, please be careful. I don't know how many times I've caught my finger in this. Lays down, and then this back panel just flips down, and there you have a full-size bed. You could easily get 2 adults on. I mean, you say easily, but you can get 2 adults on there. This can be your headboard or a pillow, and there you go. You do have blackout shades inside your Bighorn, and these are easy to operate. You just pull them down to release the suspension, and then to bring them down, you just pull them. You might have to do the little extra hang right there. If you do have the freestanding dinette with the extendable side leaf right here, lift that up, and you'll notice we have the little slide out lock here and the slide out lock here. Extend that all the way out. I didn't extend them all the way out, but you get the picture. Speaking of getting the picture, hopefully you'll be enjoying a picture on your TV that you see right here. These do come with remotes. They are powered. Some of them will be on the swivel. Some of them will be hard mounted like this. But a lot of times if you have the cabinetry up above, you will notice the connections coming in. This is for the sound bar. That's your auxiliary satellite up top. TV, which is the antenna plugged in. If you do have power, that little green light will be on. Sometimes like that, it's not. If you have issues getting signal, just cut that on. Got your 110, your splitter right there. Everything is wired in the back. And then you will have the Jensen AM/FM command center in your Heartland Bighorns. They should be the DVD and CD player. They'll have dual zone. They'll have HDMI. They'll have Bluetooth, USB. You can also run them from an app. And you'll also have the soundbar speakers here. Easy to control, easy to operate, loud and fun. You'll also, in most of them, get the Furion 40-inch or smaller electric fireplace. And what's great about these, about 5,000 BTUs of heat, and they do have multiple flame settings, multiple light settings, and let me tell you, just by cutting it on, I felt the blower cut on. That thing will kick out the heat. But once again, TV's not working, entertainment center's not working, fireplace isn't working. Check to make sure I'm plugged into shore power or I got enough charge, which you ain't gonna get that running on the batteries. Plugged into shore power, my fuses or my circuits are okay, and if you're still not getting juice, that's the time to bring it in to service. With the bathroom, you're gonna get the porcelain bowl, high-rise with the foot flush. And you'll see we got a little bit of water in there. The foot flush activates not only the water, but also the flapper. And you see that little black seal down there? Sometimes if you get water leaking down into the black tank from the toilet, that means that flapper's not connecting the seal very well. You can just take some Vaseline, a glove, and rub it around the bottom of that black seal. Just open up the flapper, rub it around the bottom, and that'll help out. If you're still getting issues, bring it in. Now, one quick point to note too, if you fill your fresh tank and you're filling it from a well, chances are well water has sulfur in it. Those sulfur deposits are going to collect down at the bottom. If you notice when you're running the water, if you're running the faucets and you get that kind of rotten egg smell, that's sulfur, more than likely. You can take a gallon of white vinegar, dump it into the fresh tank as long as you have water in there, give it a little bit to clean out. That vinegar will gather those deposits and clean it out. Do not use bleach. Bleach will kill the smell, but it won't get rid of the deposits. Now, with your sinks, you'll have cold and hot. Obviously, run the pump if you're using your fresh tank fill. Your showers, you should have these single surround showers with these large shower heads, and you'll see off and on button right there. Hopefully, you can kind of see that. They should also have an adjustable handle This one kind of doesn't have one, but you can change the type of shower that's coming out. Your controls right there, as well as your tube access right there. All right. Now let's head to the master bedroom. You'll see in here, this is the touch control. Now, I mentioned this one has 3 ACs. Here's your Dometic touch controls. And they are very light. You don't have to mash it, just a very touch, because it's a rubber stopper touching a metal sensor. Just remember to be very easy with these Dometic controls. You might have washer and dryer prep inside your RV as well. You'll see, and I'll get out of the way so Bobby can see. You got your 110 plugs right there. You got separates, which is good to have. One for the washer, one for the dryer. And then there's your hot and cold connections right there. You will have USB charging in most spots where you sit and or sleep. You'll have strut supported storage underneath your master bed. There you see the other chairs. Large windows. The Heartland Bighorns even come with a rechargeable Dyson, which is pretty cool. And your filtered HVAC system right there, or filtered AC. It's ducted, the AC is ducted, as well as the heat is also ducted through the floor. But once again, if you go to cut the furnace on, you go to cut the AC on, you're not getting cold air, or you're not getting this furnace to cut on, you're not getting hot air. Make sure that you are plugged into shore power. Make sure that everything looks okay with the fuses and the circuits. And if you're still not getting the AC or the heat, that's when it's time to bring it in and let our service folks handle it for you. Hopefully, you have met your new Heartland Bighorn, and these tips and tricks will help you enjoy your camping experience, because the Camping World of Gander, that's what it's all about. But remember, at any time, from 9 to 9 Eastern Standard Time, if you want to talk to one of our techs with your Good Sam Elite membership, you do get access to that. So keep that in mind and enjoy that camping trip.